First 8 minutes is going to the Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Minister and officials. Minister, on the 31st of March, in the lead-up to the recent budget, there was a gathering not far from here in the gardens just beside Parliament. It was an event organised by the Association of Australian Medical Research Institutes. And in particular, there were the Chair, Chief Professor Keith Martin, the CEO, Michelle Marvin, and a group of very impressive clinicians from across the range of medical research institutes in this state. A number of people spoke, in particular Steve Hargraves and his wife Julie. And Steve and Julie spoke very movingly about Steve's experience. Steve was facing stage 4 bowel cancer or advanced cancer, and he was told to put his affairs in order and was in palliative care according to reports in the comments on the day. And Steve and Julie spoke about how Steve was able to access, because of the work of a number of our great research institutes, and in particular the Olivia Newton-John Research Institute, was able to participate in the Most Circuit clinical trial. He's now alive and well today and spoke very inspirationally to the group there. Georgie Crozier in the Legislative Council then made a few points off the back of that gathering, which he spoke in the chamber later that day, quoting that funding in Victoria is very poor. And to quote her, current funding in Victoria equates to 17 cents for every dollar in grant funding. In New South Wales, the government contributes 55 cents, and in Queensland it is 80 cents. AMRI and the institutes make the point that for every dollar invested in the great work of these institutes, there is $4 of value that is returned. The sector itself is worth more than $600 million to the Victorian economy. And before I turn to you for a response, Minister, I think it's fair to read the institutes into the record because they deserve to be recognised as part of AMRI. Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute, Bionics Institute, Burnett Institute, Centre for Eye Research Australia, the Florey Institute of Neuroscience and Mental Health, Hudson Institute of Medical Research, Institute for Breathing and Sleep, Murdoch Children's Research Institute, National Ageing Research Institute, Olivia Newton-John Cancer Research Institute, Origin, Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre, St Vincent's Institute of Medical Research, and Walter and Eliza Hall Institute. Minister, AMRI and the community that supports them are calling for substantial increases in funding. There is a risk that, according to AMRI, there could be as many as 10 institutes fold. Can you tell us what your plan, tell this committee what your plans are to protect these vital institutions to ensure they can continue doing their great work?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Chair, for that question. And I am aware of AMRI's advocacy. I've met with Michelle and Keith and see them regularly. What I can say, and I appreciate you reading out the Institute's names. Origin, Pat McGorry contacted me last night. They're about to get an award in Europe for the work they're doing. I have requested, just to go to the nub of your question, I have requested, and the department has requested data underpinning AMRI's modelling and projections. We're still waiting for that. We're really keen, though, to support our institutes. We know since we came to office, $1.1 billion has been invested in this sector. We continue to provide, Victoria continues to provide the largest quantum of funding for indirect costs of any state or territory. And in the 25-26 budget, we committed a funding uplift of $24.6 million over 2 years through the Operational Infrastructure Support Program, helping cover the indirect costs of research for 13 Victorian independent medical research names that you
So Minister, can I just clarify, do you disagree with that figure that current funding in Victoria equates to 17 cents for every dollar in grant funding compared to New South Wales and Queensland, which have much higher?
We've asked to work with AMRI on some of their modelling. We'll continue to work closely with them because we also want to provide a unified voice to the Commonwealth for their support as well. We do know that a number of Victorian MRIs and that AMRI have been representing them are keen to secure more funds and more support. I've been in this role, and since I've been here, I have been working with the institutes, talking to them. I know their value to our state.
So Minister, sorry to intervene.
Sure.
Interrupt.
Yep.
Can I just, on that point, can I just ask, a number of them and the discussions I've had with others around the sector, there is a real fear about the viability of a number of these institutes, and we want them all to survive. Can you, for their sake, I know AMRI are watching at the moment, this proceeding, can you, on behalf of the Allen government, rule out that it is no policy of your government to see any of these institutes merge or close, because that is a fear they have? Can you offer that guarantee and assurance categorically today?
Yeah, I can, because it's no policy of ours either. They are world class. The work they're doing at Burnett, the work they're doing at the Baker, the work they're doing to try and find a cure for childhood cancer. It is an important part of the Victorian economy, our medical research. And they are world class. You look at the Parkville precinct, you look at out at Monash. So we will continue to work with them. I receive a lot of advocacy from them. I'm committed as anyone to this sector. I did with many of colleagues just recently the Mother's Day Classic Walk supporting the Peter Mac and other institutes. We know Victoria is at its best when it is supporting its research sector, and the return on investment that you highlighted is so important. But we do need to also put on the record in absolute terms, the OIS program provides the largest quantum of funding for indirect costs from Victoria of any state
Minister,
or territory.
again, sorry to interrupt.
But more to do.
They are saying, the sector is saying they need substantially more funding to remain viable, to continue to do the great work. I think we're in heated agreement that whenever anybody asks about, name the greatest things about Victoria, I think we all jump first to our health and medical research institutes and the precincts around Parkville and Monash.
Yeah.
What are you actually going to do to address the concerns that were expressed in the gardens just beside Parliament on the 31st of March that specifically called for urgent increases in funding to make sure these institutes can continue to do their great work?
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I think the Deputy Secretary Jarrett would like to make a few comments.
Thanks, Deputy Premier. Thanks for the question. Just to build on the Deputy Premier's comments, overall, the responsibility for funding medical research sits with the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth provides around 95% of funding towards medical research in Australia. And as the Deputy Premier said, we had $47.7 million from OAS funding to support medical research institutes.
Apologies, Ms Jarrett.